What is up, beautiful people of YouTube? It's been a minute and I'm sorry. I really didn't expect there to be this much of a gap between videos, but I'll kind of explain in a second what happened. But I'm really excited to show you guys an update on the tank. Everything's doing amazing. Let me show you guys some better video of that. And also, that's a 125. Okay guys, so as you guys can see, there are now two big tanks. So I was able to put another 125 down there. That's been going for about a month or so now. Before I show you guys that, let me update you guys on the 180-ish. I'll just call it the 180 from now on. The 180 gallon tank. It's like 170, I think is what it was, or like 175. It's like a weird tank. But as you guys can see, all the fish are doing amazing. Apologies for the glare over here. It's for my computer screens, but yeah, as you guys can see, the Geophagus are growing, believe it or not, faster than the Oscars. You know, that's wild to think. But this guy here, he's got to be about 5 inches now. He's giant, you know, compared relative to everything else. You guys will kind of notice this tank has kind of added some new inhabitants, kind of, you know, unplanned. But the Geophagus are doing amazing. They're growing very fast. You can see almost all of them have trailers now, I think, except, where is it? The smallest one, this guy here, or her. So I kind of expect them to pair off in the next few months, next maybe 2-3 months, or the next month or so. Because this guy here is about 5 inches, like I said. And I think that's roughly when they're kind of like around that size. There's two that are pretty big. This guy just took off recently in size. They used to be almost the same. But yeah, these guys are looking amazing. They're, you know, pretty big. Again, they're growing faster or as fast as the Oscars, which is very surprising. The Oscars, this here is the biggest one. He's doing amazing. I don't know why, or let me take that back. The Geos, for the most part, you know, they kind of like chase each other around, but they do nip a tiny bit. So you can kind of see the Oscars have their fins slightly nipped. It's not too bad. And then being long fin, fish, you know, it's kind of, I guess they're kind of prone to it. But the only one that isn't too bad is this guy. This is the biggest Oscar out of the four. We still have all four. This guy here is a nice looking one, but he does have some fin nips. This is another one. He has a little bit of nip fins. Again, not horrible. And this guy here's the smallest one. This one here's probably got to be, I don't know, maybe 4 inches, 3 to 4 inches. Almost no fin nips, but he does stay away kind of from the other ones for the most part. But again, they're all doing amazing. They all eat just fine. If I had to guess, it's just the Geophagus are so fast to probably get the majority of the food. I do feed them 2 to 3. I work from home, so I feed them 2 to 3 times per day. Auto water change system, so I change, I think, 10 gallons in the morning, 10 at night. So I'm assuming the good quality of water, a lot of food. I think I keep this tank at about 81 degrees, 80, 81 or so. So they're growing very fast, as fast or faster than the Oscars actually, which is very surprising. You guys may have noticed, she is back in here. She is a like 10-ish, maybe more, year-old pink convict. She's an old lady. I think she's gonna be here probably for the rest of her life. She's super mellow, and you guys will see her fins are nipped. If you guys remember that electric blue Acara that I had in here, I still have it. It's in my tank inside of my house, but it is so aggressive. It nipped these Oscars very badly, and I had put it in with her, and I went on a 3-day trip, and when I came back, he beat her up so bad. This is probably 2 months later, and her fins are coming back now. Her back fin, you kind of see most of it was missing, and it's been growing back. Luckily it didn't like go into like the meat and leave her, you know, damaged forever, but she's coming back, and she's in this tank now. For the most part, she's big enough to where she can like defend herself. You know, it's still a very low aggression tank, as you guys can see, based off of the angelfish and stuff. Speaking of, this guy here is a pretty good sized angelfish too. It's got to be maybe 5 inches tall and maybe 4 inches long. It was in my tank. It was a third oddball of a group of angels that I had. Started with like, I think 4. One of them didn't make it past like juvenile stage, and then this one grew up, they paired off, and he was the odd one out. So I was gonna rehome him. I put him in here back when all the fish were a little bit smaller, and he's been doing amazing. So odds are I'll probably have to rehome him eventually. But as you guys can see, like, excuse the algae, I haven't scrubbed the tank probably in 2 weeks or so. He has no damage whatsoever, and he's kind of just hanging out in here. You know, he kind of actually chases a convict, which, you know, who would have thought an angelfish chases a conch? You know, maybe you'll see it in a second, but he flares up and he kind of like goes after her. Not too bad, but just enough to where she moves out of the way. But yeah, so 2 fish in here that weren't in here before. And what else is in here? Oh, so they're not out very often because the lights are on. I have the lights on a timer now, so they go off at, I think, they turn on at 3 p.m., turn off at about 11. So that's kind of why the algae has kind of gotten a little bit under control. But there is a Pictus catfish inside of that skull. And there's another one back here somewhere that I got in a trade. Maybe you'll see them, maybe we won't. They're about, I don't know, 3 to 4 inches big. They only come out, you know, in the morning before the lights come on, and then again in the afternoon. The lights are pretty bright, I'll admit that. I have plants growing up here, so hopefully those grow in enough to where it covers it. It's not too bad, you know, the convicts are out, or not the convicts, excuse me, the catfish are out probably 16 hours a day, all night, and then they have half of the day. This room is pretty dark, and I have 1 window that's open, you know, the other window's covered. So this room stays pretty dim from 11 p.m. up until about 3 p.m. the next day, so they're fine. I feed them in the morning and they're out and about, so they're doing amazing. I kind of expect this tank to dwindle down probably in the next 6 months or so. The convicts are probably going to stay here, like I said, for the rest of their life. The angelfish is probably going to get rehomed. Pretty sweet. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's got an actual trailer on the fin. You know, I haven't really seen that on other angelfish. Kind of cool. Back to what I was saying. Odds are the Geophagus are going to pair up, you know. Look at that, it looks so good. He's like flaring up. But odds are the Geophagus are gonna pair off. So I'll probably keep 2, the pair, and I'm probably gonna rehome the other 3. Also gonna do the same thing with the Oscars. Odds are I'm gonna buy a few more tanks just to have everything be happier. keep that in mind. But the Oscars, I'm probably gonna keep only 2 Oscars in here whenever they do pair off. The convict and probably the catfish. The Geos are probably gonna go into their own tank once they pair off. Or once, you know, it becomes a bigger issue. So again, this tank here looks a little overcrowded now. There's a lot of fish everywhere. I think there's like, what was it, 2, 4, 9, 10, 11, like 13 fish. But once they get, you know, 10 inches or so, it's gonna look a lot more overcrowded, and I'll start like moving stuff around. And now, you guys, to the exciting stuff. The 125. This was not filmed. This was a pain in the butt to move down here. I was so scared of this tank crashing down. So I cut some metal plates, as you guys can see, just to kind of support this beam. So there's 4 of those all the way around. I did a really cool design on this one. I don't know if you guys can kind of see that. There is a Oscar fish. That's cool. But anyways, so what I did was, I was so scared that this was gonna crash down, so I drained it probably to like, I don't know, 1/5 of the weight. That way there wasn't so much weight up there. I mean, the tank by itself was probably like 300 pounds, so there's probably still like 400, 500, 600 pounds up here. But I drained that. I put those braces on each corner. And then I went through the hassle of putting this tank on here. Don't do it. If you don't have a welder and a cutter, don't do it, because there's no way that tank was gonna fit in there with those cross beams. I ended up having to cut that beam out, put the tank in, and then re-weld it in place. Don't do it unless, you know, you wanna go through that hassle. I'm sure you might be able to do it if you do it in the opposite order and put the bottom tank first and then the top tank. But even then, you guys, it's such a tight fit. I don't recommend it. As you guys can see, I did it and it's fine. But don't. Don't do as I say, you know. Maybe build a tank like out of wood or something that's better, well, a little bit better tolerances. It was such a pain in the neck. I think I was, you know, few hundred cuss words in, but I got it done. And yeah, like I said, the tank's probably been up for about a month or so. Fish have been in here probably for 2 or 3 days now. Now, let me go through the stocking list. I'm not quite sure the next few minutes how I'm gonna do this. I'm probably gonna just do some B-roll or something of the specific species, but there's quite a few different fish in here. So I guess I'll talk first about what my plan is for this tank. I'm gonna actually lean back and relax a little bit while I talk. So this is a standard 125-gallon aquarium. It's 6 feet long, and I forget the actual dimensions, but it's a 125-gallon tank. I have a Fluval FX6 filter running this tank and an auto water change system. So that's pretty much the setup. I did something similar to this tank as I did to the top tank, where I put down, I don't know, maybe an inch. Actually, I did a lot more on this tank than the top tank because I think I ran out of the worm castings on the top tank and the root tabs, but I did about an inch of worm castings all the way through the tank. And when I say I did about 600 to 700 root tabs, believe me. So I had ordered a pack of 400 of this style root tabs for the top tank, and I think I had like, I don't know, 40 of these when I set up the top tank, but I had ordered 400 or so of those, and I forgot what the mail carrier was, but it got lost somewhere, right? So I was impatient, and I went ahead and I just used what I had and got the top tank set up, and it's going. Kind of see like the Amazon swords growing in, that Amazon is growing in, and the Vallisneria never took off, but you know, the plants that, that are in there are happy, and there's, you know, other plants. But in this tank, oh, let me backtrack another second. Sorry guys, I have like ADHD or something, so my mind is always going at like 1,000 miles an hour. But that package was lost, so I contacted the seller just to ask them about it, if maybe they had some, because sometimes you have different tracking numbers, or their tracking might show like a different description, but they said that it was lost, so they sent me another one, but by that point I had already set up the top tank. Well, lo and behold, I had those 400 come in, and then maybe a month later the other 400 were found, and those came in. So I had about 800 root tabs. So when I tell you I used anywhere from like 600 to 700 root tabs in here, I did. I will add a photo at some point in here just so you guys can kind of see. It was a lot. Look at that. Interesting coloration, right? But yeah, so there is about an inch of worm castings, about a lot of root tabs, and about another 100 pounds of that same sandblasting media as there is on the top tank, right? It's like a black sand, but it's sandblasting media. And then there is just a bunch of Vallisneria, jungle val. So it looks a little ugly right now. I'm not hoping, but usually what happens is when you transplant into like a new tank and stuff, I ripped out of a 75 gallon I have inside, you know, it kind of like has a shock process and it melts back. You can kind of see that now. And then it starts to grow in. So you can kind of see there's some like newer plants that are kind of on the smaller side that look, you know, like just nicer. So those are like the new ones that are coming in. I just gotta keep the algae down. I have the lights on the timer, like I said, so hopefully that helps with that. A lot of water changes, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully my plan is that grows in so thick you can like barely see inside. And the reason for that is I have a lot of killers in here. You know, not yet. But I do have a lot of very aggressive, quote unquote, Central and South American fish, and one that's not any of those. I'll kind of go into that in a second. But let's go down the list. So one of the ones that I zoomed in on is a green terror. I actually have 3 of those. Funny story, I went to I have 2 local fish stores. One that's kind of more nicer, I guess you can say. It's but it's very like nano fish orientated, and I haven't been there probably in a year, probably like 2 years, just because, you know, I'm kind of more into like the bigger fish. But I went and they actually had some cool stuff. I ended up getting 2 fish, which will be next. But I went to the other fish store, which is a little bit more unkept, I guess. You walk in and there's like horse mats on the floor, and it's like kind of like it needs to be swept up. But they bring in cooler fish. You know, they have like arowanas and stuff. Well, they actually had some fish that I wanted. So they had a starry night cichlid, which is this guy. He's about 1.5 inches. And I went the day after I had ordered him. He is a starry night cichlid. So I bought him, paid for shipping. I think he came out to like $50 something, which, you know, sucks, but I wanted it so bad. And I figured, what are the odds my local fish store has it? They did. So I ended up buying 2. I'm hoping one of them is a male, you know, so it gets like really big and beautiful. And who knows, you know, maybe I'll get like a male and a female. Maybe I'll get a female and a female. But I'll probably just keep one of these, rehome the second one. I have 3 green terrors. The second fish store had a green terror in stock. What the heck? So I picked, that's this one here. I'm gonna call it a her. I don't know if it's a her or a him, but it's very interesting because it's got like that weird coloration. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm hoping it's a green terror. It looks like a green terror to me. If you guys see it as something else, let me know. But kind of funny. She was in there with a large, like 6 or 7 inch, like African leaf fish. You know, it kind of looked like an Oscar, but I'm pretty positive it was a leaf fish. And she was bullying the heck out of it. So I took her home. She's here now. And while I ordered the Starry Night cichlid online, I ordered 2 more green terrors. Again, the ones that were ordered online were ordered a day before, like ordered and paid and shipped a day before I went to my local fish store, which, you know, kind of a backwards way of doing things. I shouldn't have done it that way, but oh well, you know, I ended up buying, so I own 3 green terrors now. So this is one, or I'm not gonna say this is one because I'll probably do B-roll, but that's one, or, you know, here's all 3. There's 2 that are about 3 inch and one that's about 2 inch. The 2 inch one looks a little bit different, you know, it's got like some stripes, but it could also be made because it's a little bit smaller. And I do think these are all true green terrors, you know, they have the white fins. If I'll be honest, I kind of was hoping for the gold Solemn variant. I like the gold, like little like trim they have, but these are still gonna look amazing when they get bigger. We went over the 2 Starry Night cichlids. I picked up 2 fire mouths. Super cool. I've had these in the past, but I wanted something else in here, kind of to like get a little bit smaller, maybe more of like a dither. You kind of think of them as that. And then this here is a Jack Dempsey. I'm sure, you know, you've probably seen a million of these, but I love Jacks. They're super cool fish. That there is a green terror. I will admit, in hindsight, I kind of ordered these just based off of what they had in stock and what I thought would kind of fit into this tank. This is the one fish I kind of think I might have made a mistake buying. There's a possibility it works out, but a higher possibility that it doesn't. Green terror, you know, excited to see how it grows. I've never had them before, but the reason I say that it may be a mistake is because of, where are you? I don't see you. Oh, because of this one back there. That is a electric blue carpintis, usually kind of like mixed in with the green Texas. But the reason I say I may have made a mistake is because they can breed, and if they pair off, if that's a male or female and that's the opposite sex, boy, are they going to be a terror in this tank. So I'm kind of hoping, if I'm lucky, you know, that's a female and that's a female, because if they're both males, that's going to be rough. And if either one of them is the opposite sex in comparison to the other one, that's going to be rough. But, you know, there is a chance they're both females and we'll be Gucci, you know. What else is in here? I think that's everything except one cichlid, which is back there. I'll do a B-roll, but that is a fish that is more than likely going to go up there eventually, based off of how it holds up in here. That is almost a firemouth. That is a blue flash cichlid. I've never had it before, and I'm excited. They're supposed to be very closely related to the firemouths, have like a common ancestor. So there's also a possibility, you know, that these two pair off. There's 3 fish that can that are very closely related, or the same species. So any of these 3 might pair off, and if any of them do, you know, that might be okay. Same thing with the green terrors, just because if they do pair off, maybe they'll be able to handle the aggression a little bit better. If they don't, I'm sure they'll be fine. Even better. Sorry, I'm kind of starting to lose my train of thought. But I'm excited to see how it grows up, the blue flash. And if it holds up good in here, it'll stay in here. And if it gets a little too bullied, they're supposed to be a little bit more of a mellow fish. I'll move it upstairs to the 180 once it's big enough to not get eaten by any of the Oscars. Or the catfish, I guess, because right now it's pretty small. But yeah, there is one more fish in here that is not happy because the lights are on right now and it's nighttime. And it just started doing this today. It's been here for a month, or not a month, for about 2 weeks now. It was the first fish in here, and you guys can kind of see it. It's about a 4-inch yo-yo loach that's back behind the filter. He's gonna get rehomed in the next few days. He's going to somebody who has a nice, calmer tank. I swear, he's not getting bullied, even though it kind of looks like it now, right? He's kind of like stuck back there. But I think he just doesn't like the light or something. I don't know. He's been out for, you know, again, just today he started doing that. But I have one more type of fish that I want to add. I want to add a jaguar cichlid. Why? I don't know. I've never experienced one or experienced owning one. So I kind of want to see what it's like. But I'm going to wait about a month or 2 before I get it. Once these guys grow up and there is a established tank boss who is, you know, a few inches bigger than the jaguar. That way it stays that way for a while. And the jaguar grows up, you know, through the ranks, if that kind of makes sense. That way they're not just immediately the tank boss and just wreak havoc. So you're probably screaming at your computer right now saying, overstocked, you know, too many fish, amateur, this and that. And I guess I'll kind of rebuttal you. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be overstocked. You might be saying like that's not good, but why? You know, yeah, I understand there's too many fish. And here's my point of view. Some of these fish live for 10, 12 years, 8+ years. And if you're gonna keep just one fish, you know, I'm not immortal, you're not immortal. You're only gonna get to keep one species, you know, maybe 4 or 5 species of fish before, you know, your time's up, before you clock out permanently. So what I wanna do is, I've only ever had the firemouths and the Jack Dempseys, you know, in my 30 years on this on this planet, and I want to experience all these fish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try this out. This is going to be a very aggressive type of tank. I'm in here all day, almost every day, and I'll keep an eye on them. You know, see how the aggression's going. Hopefully the Vallisneria gets so thick it kind of creates like just barriers, line of sight breaks, and there's just enough space in here to where everybody can kind of just get out of the way. And there's enough fish in here, kind of like an African cichlid tank, where they kind of diffuse the aggression a little bit. And yeah, they're not African cichlids, you know, they're not necessarily like that in nature, but you know, they're in a glass box in my garage. So if something becomes an issue, I am lucky enough to where I have a local fish store that will take them in. So I want to grow these up and just experience them, you know. What kind of fish, or what fish do I enjoy keeping the most? Who knows, maybe in a year from now, the only fish in here is going to be the yo-yo loach. It's not, it's going to get rehomed. But maybe it's going to be just a jack. Or maybe the starry night cichlids are a male and a female, and I fall in love with them and I rehome everything else. But if I get the, I don't know, Jack Dempsey, and that's the only fish in here, and I have to wait another 10 years before I get to try another fish, you know, I don't want to do that. So we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated. Maybe I'll do like weekly or bi-weekly updates just so you guys can kind of see how everything's going on. I do have a 75-gallon tank inside of my house that I kind of am itching to restart, rehome. I have angelfish and stuff in there, and have that open. If the green terrors pair off, I will more than likely move that pair into that tank and enjoy them. Just because I'm watching these like 3-inch fish and they're just so cool looking. I'm so excited to kind of see them like actually mature. So I'll do that, or maybe even with the Starry Night cichlids, if they happen to be a pair, maybe I'll move those inside and enjoy them in a 75. It's kind of a small tank for them, but you know, that's kind of a dumb thing to say when I just went through the whole spiel. But yeah, I'm gonna wait again, like I said, a month or two before I get a Jaguar cichlid, and it's gonna be the tank boss in this tank, unless I rehome him if he becomes an issue too early and I really just don't enjoy keeping it. But yeah, I guess you guys follow along. We'll see how this tank progresses. I'll try to update you guys a little bit more frequently, you know, whenever there's something worth updating. But yeah, let me turn on the lights, you guys, and kind of zoom back out. This tank still looks a little like hazy, just because, you know, it's been running maybe for a month or so, so it's probably still like cycling slightly, but it's not too bad. Oh, here's this in the lights. You guys can kind of see. I'm kind of happy about it. It came out pretty cool, huh? Oh, and also, I don't know if anybody has some insight, but I've never had fluval filters before. And, you know, like that thing, like, yeah, soft hands, brother. But these things are a pain to take on and off. Not this so bad, but like closing this, whenever you have to like maintenance a tank, so you turn off the filter and stuff, you have to like close this. I always feel like I'm gonna break this. So I made something for that. You know, I made this. If anybody else is interested, let me know. But this is for like closing this or opening it. But it's mostly for this. So you can like close it and open it a little bit easier, because doing this, I always feel like these are gonna break. Maybe it's just me, but let me know what you guys think. Speaking of letting me know what you guys think, what do you guys think is gonna happen with this tank? Are you guys thinking it's gonna be just total chaos? I know there's gonna be aggression, but you know, maybe it's gonna be like an African cichlid tank where it's diffused enough. And one of my rebuttals to you guys is, if you guys think this is like the dumbest thing ever, I should not be doing this. Yeah, maybe you're right, but let me just say this, you know, like African cichlids, yeah, they're like that in nature, but they're probably stressed out too. Why don't you just have one African cichlid, one Mabuna, you know, one electric yellow lab in a 55-gallon if you're worried about stress. Fish get stressed out in nature too, but here at least they're not gonna die, or they shouldn't, because I'm here all the time. I will do my absolute best, like I do with this tank up here, to keep stuff from dying. But you know, they're gonna be fed relatively good. I probably keep this tank at about 78 degrees or so, as opposed to the 80 plus I have upstairs. And yeah, this video is now probably close to 30 minutes, so I will cut that there. Oh, if you guys are still here, let me just say the reason this took so long was ever since November, we are in, what are we now, like June? I don't know what month we're in, you guys. Freaking, I'm horrible with that. But I spent like 4 or 5 months trying to get pink Jack Dempsey's. I was talking to a breeder. We settled on a price. Everything was set. And he ghosted me. I emailed him and he responded, and I emailed him again and respond. He asked me for a price. I accepted. Or it was, I forgot what it was, but he said a price, I accepted it. He told me the shipping price, I accepted it. I asked him when I can pay, how I can pay him. He told me how I can pay him. I asked him for like, I think he wanted PayPal. I asked him for his info so I could pay him. Ghosted me, never got back to me. And if I'll be honest, I kind of killed my vibe. I was kind of bummed for like the longest time, just because I had my heart set on those fish, and it took me forever to kind of just decide on this. So if you guys cared, that's kind of why it took so long to make a video. I apologize. Hopefully, you know, stuff like that doesn't happen ever again. I won't say any names, but you know, he's a electric pink and a pink Jack Dempsey breeder or ex-breeder. He was supposed to be retiring, I think he said like this year at some point. But he was offering fish, and he just, I guess, decided he didn't want to sell to me. So yeah, Thank you guys for watching. Any questions, comments, concerns, angry comments, leave them down below. I look forward to reading them. Thank you guys for watching.